Okay, so if you're watching this video, you are on your way to becoming a division expert. And what I need you to understand is if you can do this very first problem that I'm going to show you, 89 divided by 5, then you can do any size problem that I give you. So we're going to do 4 quick examples, and then you're on your own to be a rock star. Long story short, guys, we got to think about what division means. Division means I am starting with 89 something. Maybe I'm starting with 89 cupcakes. And the action that I'm doing is I'm dividing those 89 cupcakes between 5 people. And so when you're doing division, your answer should make sense. If you're having 89 and you're dividing them between 5 people, each person is going to get a smaller amount or a part or piece of those 89 cupcakes. So we want to think about what makes sense and reasonable sense for our answer. Now, with a problem like 89 times 5, I'm just going to show you how we're going to set it up. I truly believe the bigger you write, the better. So we have 89 divided by 5. All right. That's the basic division problem. Now in blue, I'm going to show you how we're going to set this problem up. And basically what I'm doing, guys, is I'm taking my dividend, my starting amount, and I'm splitting it up by place value. I have the ones placed down here and I have the tens placed down here. You don't have to write those in if it helps you, great. But I want you to understand that what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to do it in red, is I'm going to do this division problem place value by place value. So I'm going to add multiplication man here, and I'm going to start by dividing these 8 tens. And I'm going to figure out how many groups of 5 I can make. Well, we're going to use our archery scenario. And I'm going to figure out 5 times what is going to get me to 8. And so, or excuse me, get me as close to 8 as I can without going over. Well, I know 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. I'm not allowed to go past 8. So 5 times 1 is going to be the best number that I can use. That 1 is going to be part of my answer. It's going to be in the tens place of my answer. Everything is lined up by place value. Well, I know 1 times 5 is 5. And if my target was 8 and I landed at 5, I know that I am starting at 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm 3. Get that in the film there. I am 3 away from using all 8, which means I have 3 tens left over. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to throw those 3 tens in the garbage. What I can do, though, is I can turn those 3 tens into ones. And I know each place is 10 times greater. So each of those tens breaks down into 10 ones. Well, since I have 3 of them, they break down into 30 ones altogether. But this problem already started with 9 ones. So if I have 30 and I have 9 more, now I have a total of 39 ones. And now I'm going to do my archery again. But now I have a much bigger target. I'm going to need a much bigger arrow. I know 5 times 7 is 35. That's pretty good. 5 times 8 is 40. That's too high. So 7 is going to be the best bet. 5 times 7 is 35. I have 39. I used up 35. I want to figure out how many I have left. I like the count up strategy starting at 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. I have 4 left. And those are 4 ones. Well, you can see I don't have any place values less than the ones place. So these 4 ones are actually going to become my remainder. All right. What I need you guys to understand is where the final answer is. And I always want you to be putting the final answer off to the side. So I know that you know what it is. The final answer is always on the roof of the house, and it includes the remainder. The final answer is 17, remainder 4. And this should make sense. If I have 89 cupcakes and I divide them between 5 people, each person can get 17 cupcakes, but then I have 4 left over that don't fit evenly when I divide them up. All of this down here, that's not your answer. That's just the work you did to get the answer. Now, a quick way to check to make sure your answer is correct, first is something to check with your eyeballs. You first need to look, is your remainder, which in this case is 4, less than your divisor? Well, 4 is less than 5, so that's good. The other thing that we're going to do to check is a little bit of multiplication. I'm going to take my arrows all together. I have a 1 and a 7, making 17. And I'm going to multiply that by my bow, which is 5, which is right here. And that's 5 times 7 is 35. And then 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. But then I can't forget to add on my remaining 4 that didn't quite fit into my equal groups. and I get a total of 89. Now, 89 is not my answer. 89, which matches the amount of cupcakes I started with, is the proof that my answer's correct. Now, if you take a look and just kind of look at this whole thing, this is a hot mess. So I'm going to try and do another one, maybe a little bit less confusing. We have 59 divided by 4. I'm going to go much faster here for you. I'm going to add multiplication man, and I'm going to set up my place values here. I have my 1s and I have my 10s. And I'm basically going to divide place value by place value. The first place value I'm going to divide is the tens place. And I'm going to use my archery idea. I'm going to use multiplication instead of division. So I know 4 times something should get me closest to 5 without going over. Well, 5 times 1 is 4, and that's going to get me pretty close to 5. And I'm only 1 away from my target. That means I have 110 that I couldn't divide evenly into groups of 4. I'm not going to throw that group of 10 away, but instead I'm going to break that 110 down into ones, and I'm going to throw it right here because that 110 becomes 10 ones to combine with the 9 we already have. My new target is now 19. Well, 4 times 4 is 16. That looks good. But 4 times 5 is 20. That's closer, but it's too high. So 4 is going to be the best number I can use for my ones place part of my answer. And that's going to be 16 is where it landed because 4 times 4 is 16. And I know that I am 3 away. Now, those 3 leftovers, I can't break ones down any further. So those actually become my remainder. So my final answer, guys, is right there on the roof. If I have 59 pieces of candy and I divide them between 4 people, each person is going to get 14 pieces of candy. And then I have 3 leftover pieces, which I would probably eat for myself. Now we're going to do a super quick check to see if our answer makes sense and then if it's right. First off, our remainder has to be less than our divisor. 3 is less than 4, so that's good. Now I can go to the mathematical check. I'm going to take the whole number part of my answer, 14, and I'm going to multiply it by my divisor, which in this case is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Plus, so 56 pieces of candy were used by the 4 people, plus we have the 3 leftovers, and that gets me back to 59. Again, 59 is not my answer. It is the proof that my answer's correct. All right. A lot of work here, but the answer was 14, remainder 3. Now, if you can do 2-digit, you can do 3-digit. Everything is exactly the same. I'm going to do 945 divided by 6, multiplication man, and I'm going to set up my place values. But this time I have a ones place, a tens place, and a hundreds place. So in my answer, I'm actually going to have a digit in my hundreds, I'm going to have a digit in my tens, and I'm going to have a digit in my ones, and then I'll have whatever remainder. So, I like that strategy actually. So my first part is I'm going to work on the hundreds. 6 times 1 gets me closest to 9. It gets me to 6, and I'm 3 away from using all of my whatever I have. In this case, let's do children. I have 945 children, and we're going to divide them into 6 teams, and we'll figure out how many is in each team. I have 300 kids, 300s left over. I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to break them down into 30 tens and combine them with the 4 tens we already had in the problem. So now my target's 34. I know 6 times 5 is 30, and 6 times 6 is 36. That's too high. So I'm going to do 6 times 5, which is 30. That got me as close to 34 as possible without going over. And you can see that I have 4 left. And I'm going to break those 4 tens into 41s and combine them with the 5 I already have. 40 plus 5 is 45. So I know that a 5 already got me to 30, but I got to go higher than that. So 6 would be 36. 7 would be 42. 6 times 8 is 48. That's too high. So 7 is going to be the best I'm going to get. It's going to be 42. And to figure out how far I am from my target, starting with a fist at 42, 43, 44, 45, I am 3 away. And I can't break down ones any further in this case. So I'm going to make that my remainder. So my final answer, guys, if I have 945 kids and I divide them between 6 teams, I'm going to be able to put 157 kids in every team. And then I'll have a remainder of 3 kids. I'll have to figure out what to do with them. Maybe I'll stick them onto one team. This is the answer. This is the entire number sentence. Now to double check, my remainder is less than 6, so that looks good. And to check using multiplication, I'm going to take 157, and multiplication man reminds me I'm going to multiply that by 6. That's 42. That is 30 plus 4 is 34. And 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. And then we got to add those remaining 3 kids, which is 945. And that goes right back to where we were. Now, I'm going to show you one more type of problem that can sometimes throw kids off. And we're going to divide this by 3. Don't let this throw you off. Sometimes we forget that 0 is a digit. Take a look here. We have ones, tens, and hundreds. If my first target is 1, I need to think 3 times what gets me closest to 1 without going over. Well, 3 times 1 is already too high because that would be 3. So that can't work. The closest I can get, guys, is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. And if I want to know how far away I am from my target, well, I'm 1 away. And that 100 is going to get broken down into 10 tens. We don't have any already. So now we have our new target of 10. 3 times 3 is going to get me to 9. That's going to be the best I'm going to get. And I'm 1 away. We're going to break that down into 10 ones and combine it with the 4 we already have for a total of 14. 3 times 5 is 15. That's just too high. 3 times 4 is 12. And we're 2 away. And that's going to become our remainder. So when we write this final answer, I'm not going to write 034. 034 is the number 34. And we have, of course, a remainder of 2. So, did I do that? I forgot the R there. I hope you were noticing that. And what I need you guys to realize is if there is 3 place values in our problem, then your answer is going to have 3 place values. The first one might be a 0, which means you end up with a 2-digit number in the end, but we have to make sure we're doing 3 archery matches in this case. I know I did a lot of talking, and I did that on purpose. I wanted to give you some different situations because if you're watching this video, I really think you have what it takes to be pretty independent with division. What you're going to do is you're going to get a worksheet. Let's see if I can pull it up here. You're going to get this worksheet here. And you are going to do the first one. There's a little reminder of how to check your answer, the 2 things that you need to pay attention to. And then I do want you to write your final answer where it says final answer. The work will go up here, but the final answer will go down here. I'm going to have you check your own work from an answer key. If you get it right, do a little happy dance and move on to the next one. If you get it wrong, that's when you should raise your hand and say, can you help me figure out where I went wrong? And we'll talk you through it. So hopefully you do better on the next one. You got this. I believe in you. Unbelievable progress so far already. Let's rock and roll.